Monday Ubani joins us now. He's a legal practitioner and former chairman of NBA Keja branch. Good morning and thanks for joining us. So many things coming out of the Electoral Act and the Constitution. The most amazing is that all lawyers speak from the same two documents, but they give the people quite, diverse interpretation.
Yeah, because of the lacuna, the obvious lacuna that was actually created in the laws governing our electoral process. So you see all manner of interpretation, including people who are not lawyers. Everyone has become emergency lawyer over this issue since last Sunday till date. But I think at this juncture, we should try as much as possible to help INEC because there is total crisis, there is total confusion. We should also look at the law in order to actually help INEC to come to a conclusion and go ahead and comply with the law. What is the situation? The situation is that our laws made provision for a candidate who has been validly nominated by the political party before the election. The laws of the land also had made provision for candidates that have been validly elected before being sworn in. Our laws have made provision for candidates who have even been sworn in and along the line dies. The laws have made all that provision. Where there's a lacuna is one. Election is taking place now, and then one of the candidates dies. There's no provision that during the election itself, but no votes have been counted, and any of the candidate dies. There is no provision in the law. There's a lacuna there. The law didn't make provision where election itself has held and votes counted and even announced, but declared inconclusive because of some factual situation. The law has not made provision for that. So we have to have a recourse to law in order to get closer understanding of what will happen in instances like this. And we look at Section 33 of the Electoral Act. What did he say? He said a political party cannot change or substitute a candidate after close of nomination, except in two instances. If any of the candidate dies, if any of those candidates withdraws. So in that instance, a political party now has been given a leeway in case of death to now substitute and change. Is that agreed? So if we now proceed on that, we now go over to Section 33 of the Electoral Act. It says that before the election, if any of the candidates dies, INEC has the power to countermount that election, the poll itself. Countermount the poll, and then organize another election within 14 days when there is death. So what has happened now is that election has held, votes counted, votes announced to all the political parties. APC knows what he has scored, 240-something thousand votes. PDP 199,000 plus votes. Other political parties, all votes were allocated. Now, INEC, due to factual situation of 91 polling units that elections were cancelled or did not take place, say that it's going to be a supplementary election. It is within that time that a candidate of one political party dies. What do? The law now allows INEC to countermount the supplementary election and allows the political party now to choose to substitute the candidate that has died. So, in which case, you now go over to their primaries that they held. There was a primary.
That's the pre-election.
Yes, there was a pre-election primary held by APC, in which Audu emerged as the candidate of APC. Now you have those also that contested. Somebody must have been the second highest vote candidate, third or fourth, and all that. You have your internal rules and regulations. APC has their constitution, and I'm sure that constitution must have made provision where any of the candidates that have validly, submitted dies and all that. What would they do? They have to have a recourse to their internal rule, and I'm sure they have a constitution. And the constitution may specify that the person with the second highest vote now is the candidate of the party. So since the law allows them to substitute, nobody takes away that particular power now from the political party. Nobody. The law allows them to substitute. So they now bring in their candidate now to complete the election, not to start a fresh election, because election has held.
The question will be, what happens to the other running mate of the candidate that passed?
Very unfortunate incident. The law is very clear as to where the candidates have emerged, have been declared winners, but before being sworn in. Of course, if the substantive governor dies, the deputy becomes the governor and chooses his own deputy. The law is also very clear, where they have even been sworn in and running their government and the governor drops dead. The deputy governor is the beneficiary under the law. So because they have been duly elected. They have been duly elected.
Duly elected means, meaning?
Yeah, two of them, the joint ticket, they have both of them have been concluded. Beautiful. The process has been completed. But this one is that there is no announcement of duly elected, election have taken place. He has not emerged as a deputy governor in a duly elected, contest. So he is almost there, but forces beyond him has stopped him. So he cannot now be a candidate because he never participated in the primaries of APC. Some people did. So the APC has a right now to choose their own candidate and substitute in accordance with the law itself.
Don't you think that the Electoral Act,
yes.
36(1),
yes.
Sort of solve this whole matter? If we say the election is inconclusive, and you go back to section 36(1) of the Electoral Act that talks about the death of a candidate, and let's now look at this as a process that is inconclusive. It's almost the same as when you're trying to submit names leading up to the election. Because if you say countermand, that is to cancel, so it's still a process. So if you countermand, let's say now that it has happened, INEC has said, well, they've not been officially notified of the death of the late Audu. After that, to INEC, is it possible to say INEC can now fix an election within 14 days as stipulated in section 36(1)?
That's right. That's right.
But the question now is, who stands in as the candidate for the APC?
We have said it now. Section 33 says that APC has the right to now substitute because somebody is dead. Remember that in Rotimi Amechi's case, it is actually the political party that is the beneficiary of the vote, of electoral fortune. And that particular decision of the Supreme Court has not been nullified or reversed. And everyone has been citing it. And so if the political party is actually the beneficiary of electoral votes, but with a candidate, so the votes as already counted and are given to them stands for APC. Nobody takes it away because the Supreme Court has already clarified that position, that it belongs to them. What they need to do now is just to go in accordance with section 33 and substitute. And then, of course, you complete the process. Going back to go and call for a new election, where do we have it in the law? When the section 36 has said that, they have a right to countermand. And what will you countermand here now that the election has taken place and results, even votes announced, is to countermand the supplementary poll.
Hold on.
And not a fresh election. Because the election has taken place, because section 36 we're talking about before the election. But now that the election has taken place, and there is one election remaining, supplementary poll.
Mr. Bani, 1 second, please. That word countermand,
yes,
by definition here means to declare invalid.
No, to cancel. Countermand means to cancel.
No, I'm reading a dictionary.
Maybe a dictionary. I have my own dictionary. Because in fact, what they mean. Let me explain. The legal meaning of countermand. The legal side of it. The legal side is to cancel election before the election takes place. As I said earlier, if a candidate drops dead before the electoral
I want to get your argument.
Yes.
Even in English, countermand means cancel.
Yes.
We're not arguing over that.
That's right.
We're trying to look at what they're to countermand here. And if I'm to get you correctly, you're saying in other units where results have been announced, those are okay. But you're saying that INEC should go ahead and countermand the election that is coming.
The supplementary poll.
Which is the supplementary, and you're saying that is what section 36(1) is also saying when it says countermand election.
No, it didn't make provision for a situation that is the clearest meaning you can ascribe.
To countermand and fix an election within 14
days. Yes. So APC now has a right to substitute within 14 days because the law allows INEC now to organize an election within 14 days. So APC now must now substitute Audu Abubakar with their own candidate. And I said that will be in accordance with their own internal rules. Yes.
Abubakar Audu.
Yeah, Audu. Yeah, Abubakar Audu. So sorry,
Okay.
I have mentioned Audu.
Mr. Bani, what happens or what do you make of the case where some lawyers say the deputy governor,
yes,
in as much as you say they should substitute a candidate, should, because the time for the parties to conduct primaries is over, and then some of them suggest that the deputy governor should go ahead with the supplementary elections, and then the party should nominate a running mate for him. What do you make of that position?
It is not right to say that the time for nomination has elapsed, because the law has even allowed the political
not
party.
nomination, for primaries.
Yes, for
conducting.
I agree now, but the law now allows the political party that in cases of death, you have a right to substitute. So the law has given you a leeway. It's very clear. Did you get me? I say, even though people say that, of course, the time for nomination, the primaries have also, has actually elapsed. I agree. But the law itself has said that in cases of death, that you as a political party has the right to substitute. So it has given you a leeway.
Okay, so what if the party comes up and says, we want
if they want
Faleke
within the internal rule, yes.
The candidate for the party,
within the internal
so he doesn't
rule.
lose
But you
out.
have a problem there. Faleke only was picked as a deputy. Not that he contested primary. That's where you're going to have some legal, problem. So why don't you do the normal thing by going back to your original primaries you held, in which there were votes, the first person, the second person, the third person.